I'm your guest tonight and host, and I'm Tamara Caulder Richardson, and I'm a 6-time near-death experiencer. I created this channel for near-death experiencers as well as spiritually transformative experiencers, which I've had many spiritual experiences and mystical experiences, including out-of-body and also remote view. This is my 6 near-death experiences, my story, and my love to you. So I'm going to start sharing now. So again, I'm the host of the Seeking Heaven channel, and I'm also a guest. And that's baby, I used to be called Tammy. Don't call me Tammy. That was my little girl name, and I don't really like it. But no offense, I'm just glad to be here. But that's baby Tammy. And you can see it's so funny. I've got like a little outfit on with a little puppy dog. And it's funny, later in life, my husband had curly hair and he had a puppy dog on his. I thought that was very cute. So you can say, yes, that grew into that. That would be absolutely right. So let's get on with it. I've had, again, like I said, 6 near-death experiences. Out of that, 2 of them I encountered Jesus, and one of those I had pneumonia and died, which I'll tell you about, and I spent 3 days with him in a place that I called heaven. It was quite glorious. And as well as that, I very early age that I can recall, 3 years old, but was always very unique and different. I have been speaking to and understanding, and so I used to see them all the time. I do occasionally now, and dogs, but I've got to live a normal life, but I'm also a person that talks with people that have crossed over, and I've trained in that. So I'm an evidential psychic medium. Again, I've had many spiritual transformative experiences and out-of-body experiences. And again, this is way too much to go over tonight, so I'm just going to focus on my NDEs. I'm finishing my book, Love from Heaven. I'm also a Christian minister, and I say a love teacher, because isn't that the best, right? And I'm afterlife and inspirational speaker. So let's go ahead and begin with my first NDE. First of all, my first one I'm not going too much into, but I had a prenatal, and basically my mother was young and she had difficulty, and she was bleeding a lot, and she almost didn't have me. And so I remember seeing how young and how cute she was, and being around her and just feeling nothing but love. And I remember being not a body, but yet I was. And I remember looking at things at all angles, like actually seeing things at all angles, and being outside and just sort of being one with things. I was not very concerned about me. I was more concerned about her. There was just so much immediate love for her before I was even born. So, and those of you may ask, do you pick your family? Yeah, you do, but they kind of pick you too. You agree on that and on the in-between lives. And there's a lot of thought that's put into that for your spiritual journey, and you agree to kind of play this game here called, it's a theater of life. Welcome to planet Earth. So I won't go into that too much, but I do remember being with no body. My first big NDE, as I was playing, and I gave you an illustration of what I thought it looked like, an antebellum house. And I was 3 years old, and I was playing with my uncle's, my uncle was married, my mom's brother, Joe, who's now in spirit, and a very funny, sweet man. And he had a little girl, and so that was my cousin, and we were playing hide and seek, and we were very excited. And what happened is that I was squealing like kids do, wee, like a little pig, and I was jumping up and down, and there was a dresser, and it went through my head that there was in the dresser, there was okay, let's start over. I remember this dresser, and it was in a bedroom. I remember, this bedroom, it had a lot of blues in it and some yellows, and there was a bathroom there, and the dresser was at the corner, and I was kind of peering around the corner, and I was jumping up and down. I still jump up and down everywhere, but there was a nail underneath that dresser, where you put your clothes in, and it was hammered in, so it was a nail head in, and it punctured my entire skull. I was jumping pretty hard. I was like Tigger. I've always had a lot of energy. So I punctured my head, but I didn't know that. I just went like this, and I thought water was coming from someplace. And I think right when I felt my head and looked to see if it was blood, I think I passed out at that very moment. So you know, there was quite a commotion going on when that happened, but I was immediately above my body. And it's funny, things like that will pop you out. And it's also interesting that a lot of people that are mediums have had head injuries. I'm not recommending you do that. But it is an immediate connection to your crown chakra, to the divine, and to other spiritual things. Not really, didn't plan that. And we do have lessons here, but we don't always know what they are. So I was looking at everything from above my body. And then I saw from the bedroom, I was above my body, and I was really kind of disinterested. I was a bit disinterested on really what was going on around me. I was just mildly interested, and I looked out in the hallway, and I saw there was this big, you know, you can see the house. It looked very similar, a staircase that went up in the middle, like you would imagine with Gone with the Wind. And there were all these beings of light. And I'm trying to get the images the best that I could to show you. But these images below, you can see here, they were a little bit more yellowy, but they were beings of light. And they weren't quite this here. Again, I was spirit too. I was spirit. I remember being spirit, not quite make it as my body was developing. So they were looking, and they kept popping in. I mean, they were popping in, and then I could see above my body, but yet somehow I could also have perceptions of also seeing outside and seeing other rooms. So I was seeing in multiple places, not just that room. So I know that's not really a human thing. It's totally a spirit thing. And, my gosh, I mean, maybe 100 more. I mean, a lot. They kept popping in all around the place. And you may say, why were they there? Honestly, I think they're there for love and support. You know, it's kind of like, woohoo, you know, she's coming home, you know, that's what I think. And they, do I know them? Sure. On some level, I know them. I mean, really on some level, we all know each other. We've all lived forever. It's a treadmill. We just never get off. I don't know why we keep agreeing to this, but we do. And so I saw these beings of light. And again, not really with my spirit eyes. And then I was heard, it's your time. It's not your time, that there's much to do. And so I want to tell you about this, what's going on in this next slide. Now, as I'm looking over my body from above, you might want to say at this point, am I really in the ceiling? I'm kind of everywhere, but yeah, okay, also in the ceiling. And I'm looking at it. And they're trying to figure out why I can't wake up, what happened, whatever. And, you know, they went to go get my mom. She seems kind of like she'll shake it off. I don't think people realized how bad it was. And so over the body, I saw, me as a spirit person, saw my actual material universe body laying limp. And there was I could see, I guess the best to say, in 2 dimensions, but because I was seeing the beings of light and looking at different rooms and everything going on at once. And then I would feel people's perceptions and their thoughts and their emotions. But I saw this big, I knew it to be a holy angel of the Lord. I knew it was powerful. Is it male or female? I mean, I feel Uriel's a she only because I'm a she this time. So, but are angels? Not really. You know, they can manifest as male or female if they wanted to come, show up and help you in life. But she or it, whatever. Truly, this is like a gender thing, you know, totally genderless. I don't really, was there the light being there. Her hands had light, and I'm just going to say her for now. Hands were filled with light and light. She was all light, but there was a blaze above her, like, brilliant. Jesus told me later in a channeled message, it was kinetic pranic energy. I'm like, okay, I don't know what that is. Very fast and combustible, powerful. And how I've always known, it's Uriel. I didn't know later in life that was an archangel. And that's my guardian angel. I've got more. We usually have lots more than one, but that's who is there. And Uriel means The fire of God. So anyway, the hands are over my head, and now she was kneeled over, the wings and everything. It was extraordinary, but like in multiple, wasn't as you would see it as we are. It was like multiple dimensions and this energy around her. And it was like almost like I say flame. She just comes across powerful, reddish orange and bright white light. And as this is happening, I'm hearing this voice that is not a hear it with your ears, because again, I'm not in my body, I'm above, but I know it to be, it's telepathic. I know it and I feel it. I feel the voice, and it's hard to imagine, but I knew it was God. And the voice said, "This is not your time. You have much to do." And as soon as that was said, it was quick. As soon as that thought entered in, it wasn't a thought, it was actual an energy toward me. And like, I knew it to be, I was right back in my body, and with all the pain and confusion, because I didn't know what happened really, I was just playing hide and go seek. So, the lady, my Uncle Joe's, his mother-in-law, Miss Cruz, she called my grandmother, who was the matriarch. My mom had me very young, 18. And, I consider that young. And she was a young woman herself. And so, they called my grandmother and granddaddy. They came over, because this is a small town in Hickory, North Carolina. They came over, and, my grandmother, whisked into action what happened. She was like a real type A personality, ran a hosiery mill with my granddaddy, and whisked me away. She had, back then, they don't do it now, but she went to the back door of her internist. She had clout and power there, and not with just the doctor, but with the town. And so he said I had a contusion, and he named all these medical things, and to watch me the next 24 hours, because I could die. Things could go horribly wrong. He said it could affect my thinking, which, thank God, hallelujah, it did not. There's so many things that I've had with the head that should, and other now than, old age and getting older, that's the only thing. Seriously, I mean, God has totally restored me. Wanted to mention, seeing the spirit people, especially after that moment, I could totally see spirit people. And that was at 3 years old. And it was disconcerting at first, because I just didn't understand who the people were. I wasn't really frightened, but after a while I began to think it's normal. But they did come into my room at night, and through my childhood, I would see angels and demons, and I mean full on like demonic demons. And I think that you think, why is that? I think they knew that I, had a holy purpose here, and that I could see them, and they were trying to intimidate me. I think that's all. And they especially came around when I would pray or this kind of a thing later, as I grew up, and I would read scripture. But God's bigger, God's tougher. So anyhow, and that's a whole nother story later on. I've seen things, and now I've done not pleasant about 14 exorcisms. They're horrible. But I don't do them unless Jesus tells me. And I walk with God, and I stand with God in Christ, and that's where I live. That's where I live. So the next year, there were 3 years that weren't so good for me. I had three near-death experiences in 3 years in a row. As I was, my mom was dating this guy in Hickory, North Carolina. He was a DJ, and I guess he was the hottest ticket going in Hickory, North Carolina, because he was groovy, he was fashionable. I mean, he looked good, and he had a lot of flash. I didn't particularly like him because I thought he was a player, which he was, and I think he was most of their marriage. He's a player. And kids like everybody, right? So for me not to really like him probably was not a good sign. But she wanted me to get to know him, and so she arranged to have a day date, that they would take me out to eat. I now remember the entire everything. My grandmother, it was a really bad snowy day, and all this is going to be, but more detail. I'm just giving you the highlights in my book. But it was a snowy, icy day. And now Hickory, North Carolina's at the foothill of the mountains. I mean, it's like an hour from Asheville. So that gives you an idea. A lot of people went to Boone. My mom went to Boone hello, she had to leave school because of me. Hello, had a little app outfit on, you know, a little matching colors. Woo. I ended up not going to that school later in life. I went to East Carolina University, but anyhow, she wanted me to meet him. So my grandparents, who were living with my grandparents, and they had an old Victorian home, and really the front of the house kind of faced the road. The city grew up around it. So it was, you kind of have to come up this hill on a gravel and up to the back door, where they had a hosiery mill in their lower level, a basement. It's crazy, I know, but it worked. It was like 38 machines, and they did great and took care of 6 of their kids. And I was like the 7th kid, you know, the grandkid, but took care of me, even put me through college. I have a lot of gratitude toward them. And they're 2 of my biggest helpers with all my medium stuff. They come through constantly with other people. They're around me all the time. That love that we have from one another absolutely does not stop. And sometimes when people pass, that love connection gets stronger. It's just different now. And you'll start recognizing those people around you. So anyhow, they didn't, this fella she's dating, who's my stepdad, Rockin' Ray, Radio Ray, came to pick us up, but it was really bad, snowy, icy. It was kind of dangerous. So my grandma was like, please don't go, do it another day. And she's like, it'll be fun, because you know how you are. At this point, she's, well, let's see, 4. So she's 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old. Okay, she's 22. She wants to get the heck away from her parents, you know. What does she say? I'm doing it anyway. So we go out to eat at Pizza Hut and then eat ice cream. I have no idea why we had ice cream during the cold weather, but we did. And then we went by his radio station because he was a DJ. And then later he became an editorial spokesperson and wrote it and all that. And then really high paid salesperson through the as time went on with his career. But anyhow, so I always grew up, and then radio and TV. I was always around broadcast my whole life, and celebrities my whole life. So another story. So anyhow, we go to his radio station right there in the middle of Hickory, Channel 1. And he said he puts me in an office, and nobody's there because it's a Saturday. So you can go in and get any, at this time it's LPs, I'm really showing my age, get anything you want. So I'm thinking, cool. So I remember looking at all these Motown stuff. I was so excited. And I actually came across a song by a nun, and it was the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. I mean, she kind of sang it like that. But I would play that record all the time when I felt fearful. And now I sing the Lord's Prayer to myself. I still sing it. And it's something about singing scripture and singing God's word, and singing that is very powerful. You should try it. You don't even have to do it in front of people unless you have a really good voice. But so that was kind of cool. I got that. Well, they said it's time to go. It was like an hour and a half later, and they were arguing. And the basic thing is they were arguing because she wanted to get married by mom, and he's like, oh, I don't have the money yet, blah, blah, blah. She wanted to get away from her parents because 22-year-old doesn't want to be their own person, right? She already had a kid. So they're angry. They're arguing. I get in the car, pre-car seats, and I'm in the front seat with them, and he's rushing down the street. We weren't even, I don't even know if we were a mile away. I mean, they say accidents happen a mile from your home. We weren't even a mile away. And he kind of hit the brakes when she said something. We spun around. We hit a tree. This tree was a park right in the middle of Hickory. And that's when we hit the tree, I went through the windshield, and I got kind of wedged in there. It didn't break, but I got with a tremendous impact. Actually, 2 surgeries as an adult, seriously, 18 and 28, I think, to continue to remove cartilage. And I still have sinus issues. So, I figure if that's the biggest inconvenience in life, it's always something, right? But yeah, it was such an impact. And I remember being very cold and wet and frightened. And then I was confused because I was in this black space. And I didn't know where my body was. So I was confused. You know, that confuses you when you lose your body. You know, you think you lose your purse, that's bad. But when you lose your body, you know, what do? And I was a bit, thrown off there because I didn't, didn't expect that. Like, who does? Like, and I didn't really have, like we get older, we know this death thing might be coming. Actually, there is no death, but just a tip there. And so I was in this dark place and I see this pinhole of light. Well, coming toward me with the light was holes in his hands, and his hair was blowing back, and it was Jesus. Now, you got to know, my grandmother, from when I can remember, to a little kid, till at this point, of my age, told me about Jesus, and he's, to talk to him. He's my friend. So if I needed anything, so I knew that. She actually had a lot of spiritual gifts, and her prayers, I would love to do a book. I was just talking to my mom about a book of prayers that she did. I mean, she's got, like, I don't know how she did, like, amazing writer, amazing. It's like, my book should be good, right? I don't know. People say so far it's really good. I don't know. But, I just tell the story. But, yeah, because she was quite good at it. So I knew that. My mom didn't really talk about it, but you know what, 22-year-old, they don't really talk about Jesus too much. They talk about, partying and cute guys or girls or whatever. But so, I knew about him, and he comes close to me, and he's like really kind of floating and going close to me. And he says, that I have to go back. And, behind him, I knew there were my relatives, although I had never met them. And then there was a bird that someone behind him said they were like light beings. I couldn't see their faces. I knew that I knew them, but not this life, meaning I didn't know that many people. My goodness, I wasn't that old. And you get older, people cross over, but I was very young. And so he said, somebody behind him said, we have your bird. And the year before, there was a bird and an egg, and I threw it down on the pavement because I thought it was a ball, but it was a bird egg. And I just, for a whole year, beat myself up over killing that bird because I was like, oh my God, I don't want to kill anything ever. And I said, your bird's okay. And I thought it was pretty awesome. But he said that I had to go back, and he was serious. He said, you have to go back, but I'll always be with you, like that. I'm like, and then I was back. And then when I came back, that's when it got really interesting. Yeah, you thought the whole Jesus tunnel was. No. It gets really interesting. So what happens is I come back, and I'm looking behind me. There's the old Hickory firehouse and, fire truck. But then I'm seeing all these firemen, like tons of firemen mixed in with people from different time periods. And the firemen weren't dressed modern. And I gave an example of these guys. I actually asked the spirit guys if they would allow me to kindly show their picture. I'm not sure who these guys are, but they said, okay, that we would like to be to your service. So would it be interesting if these guys actually were involved with this? Probably not. But yeah, a lot of people that were firemen that were dressed, I knew them to be spirit. It was not a shocking thing because I saw Jesus in a tunnel. So, but I saw that behind me. And again, I'm saying, I'm not in my body when I come back. I'm in this world, and I'm kind of around my body, but yet I'm functioning. I'm also working with the body too, but I'm also more than that. Okay, so I'm omnipresent, an ability of spirit. So I look behind and I see this. I see all these spirit people, and they're very friendly, and they're coming to my aid. And then I look in front, and I see where it's icy and frozen over. And I never knew it had a lake there, but apparently it was a lake. So I'm seeing a lake. I'm seeing a Native American couple holding a baby with a fish with a stick. They're cooking fish. Nobody's supposed to be there. I mean, I'm seeing into another time or another dimension. I'm going to leave that up to you. I'm just going to tell you as I know it, as it happened to me. And then I'm seeing walk through like an 1800s Gibson girls, long skirt, up to the neck, Victorian looking outfit with a man with like a, what do you call him, a corn hat, or looks like this old timey politician hats. And he's with the mustache that kind of curls up kind of thing. Anyway, they're walking through the park, and then they have like a baby carriage, like a baby, like the old timey that they're going through. And I'm seeing different layers of time. It's kind of interesting. I saw 2 babies, but anyway, you could be my different lives. It could be, I don't know, but I for sure saw it. Now, they weren't interacting with me. They weren't. And then I saw a hot air balloon above. And then to my right, now, I'm in the car. My mom is holding me in the passenger seat. My body is limp. My future stepdad, he has these 2 guys with a Jeep Wagoneer, these kind of good old boy redneck guys. They're just trying to pull his driver's seat got wedged into the tree. But remember, it's the impact that did it with me. So they're trying to do that. And I'm seeing that going on. I'm looking to the right, and there's a rip in the universe. And it's this amazing, again, Uriel, this fiery and this orange, powerful. And I've actually taken pictures of her. I was at a concert once, and the band was, it was like a famous band. I'm not going to tell you who. And I was told they sold their soul to be back on stage. And I went, no kidding. And I saw in my camera, I had 50 pictures of fallen angel stuff everywhere. And my husband and I went to the bathroom. It was like a nice place where we went. And we went to I went to the bathroom, and we both went, they had a break. And somebody took a picture of us there as a couple. And there was a frame. She took 2 pictures. There was a third frame with a massive angel wing, massive with red. So I was being protected. I'm always protected, just like you're always protected. So I wanted to, well, I won't get into that right yet. So these other spirit people, so there's a rip in the universe. There's like a blaze, and I'm like, okay, a lot taken in here. And then for 4 years old, there's a lot going on. And then I saw these really friendly spirit people. And one lady came up to the window of the driver's side and looked in. Nobody could see this person but me and all the spirit people. And she goes, hi. I think she said, hi, I'm Judith Hefner. Your grandmother used to go to my mother they would go to the jewelry. She had owned a jewelry shop or something like this. She would go get jewelry. She wanted to introduce herself. She had a little pillbox hat on, like the 40s. And I'm just, telepathically, this is going on. And then I hear all the whispers. Yes, it's not just in the movie with the Bruce Willis movie and the little boy can see dead people. Me too. And they're going, she's the one who carries her voice. So I didn't know what that meant at that point, but I saw them as being friendly. I mean, they're basically your family, your relatives. These weren't like ghosts. They had crossed over, but people can, omnipresent. You can be in different places. So I want to show you this real quick. So Asta Lander, if you haven't seen the episode where I have her on the show, she's an angel artist, undiscovered. I'm saying I discovered her. She's a lovely person. And I was speaking on the INS, the International Association of Near-Death Studies, New Zealand. And she was on there, and we had extra time. I said, I don't know, I'll give some readings. And as I read her and I said, she does these angels so-and-so, and she's never had been on, well, I don't know, she wasn't going to be on the Zoom call. And I gave this incredible, it was incredible reading, but she does these angel booklets, and they're little angels, but they're kind of spiny looking. She calls them alpha angels and blah, blah, blah. And I started seeing she's holy. So I said, she's got to be on my show. We had a great time. We laughed so hard. You've got to see that one. But I said, you have, a special gift. So she did a solar, I think she calls it a aura graph, but it's not an aura. It's a solar graph. Asked her, you need to change it to solar graph. Per Tamara, who's a professional marketer and slogan writer. Anyhow, I never told her anything about my life. And I got this back, and the fire truck was in it. I was like, she picked up my NDEr. Sure did. The white dragon for purity. And then apparently I have a lot of light coming out of me. What'd she say? A sapphire, love me do. I don't know. It's a little happy song. The crown. She goes, I don't understand the crown. I said, yes, the crown is what I get at the end of all this. I get to be with Christ. That's my crown. And she's like, okay. And then the peacock, which anyone knows me, I am very colorful, and I'm a seer and clairvoyant. So peacocks stand for that, all the eyeballs on their tails. And then, yeah, I always say eyeballs at least once a day. I'm obsessed with that word. My husband, I'll say it, or it'll come on a TV show or commercial. We'll go, okay, it's done for the day. It's been said. So speaking of eyeballs, my third eye, she's got a burning bush and a lot of sun and sunshine, and I'm still trying to figure all this out. She's pretty amazing. You got to see that episode. So they carried me to end that story off. They carried me to back to the freaking radio station and had a debate. At this point, there was a lady there that was doing maid service, and I think she was someone in the neighborhood. They hired to do it, and she's taking out the garbage cans and all that. And she sees this bloodied up nose, this face, and my face was really messed up. I had to have a nose job later. Well, they didn't break my nose to do it. They didn't. All he did is remove the cartilage and sniffed up. And I said, oh, that's what it's supposed to look like. I was like, so he didn't really have to break it, but he did remove a lot. That was at 18. But anyhow, she said, you should take her to the doctor. Well, they decided they were going to run away together. And so my grandmother and granddaddy lived, and they had money. I mean, they worked really hard for their money, though. You know, they worked manual labor for their money. They were like a mile down the street. They could have called them. They would have taken me to the hospital, but didn't go to the hospital. And so, and my nose didn't grow right till, later 18 when he removed that cartilage, and it just kind of went bing, just kind of perked up. And so I was taken at that point from my grandparents, which were my beloved, they were like, surrogate parents. They did everything for me, and I just adored them. Of course, I don't let the whole thing like death stop me. No. They're around me all the time still. So, but they didn't know where I went for a long time. And just to tell you a little story real quick before I go into my really big NDE. Man, guys, I'm doing this for you. And I'm doing this for Jesus mainly, because this is what I got the big go ahead on that. So doing it for him first, you second. Well, maybe me second, you third. So, but it all works out. Anyway, so at the time, my stepdad, who was not my stepdad, he lived in a trailer. I mean, he did work really hard to pull himself by the bootstraps up. He came from Rockingham, and he just didn't have much. And he was trying to make a name for himself, and I admire that. So we went to his really crappy trailer. It was not a good trailer. And I had this room that was god-awful. There are people with bigger closets. I mean, it looked like a tool shed. It was awful. And my bed was like a half bed. It was like a cabinet with a cot on it. I don't know what it was. And I had a little window I would look out, and I would want to get out, and I would want to run, but I didn't know where to run to. So one night I had a brilliant idea. They used to have this sausage commercial on called Valleydale. Valleydale sausage, woo, woo, Valleydale, hooray for Valleydale, hooray for Valleydale. Okay. I'm not going to sing a lot more to you today, but music has gotten me through things, and my art has been my therapy. So it was a commercial that came on this really crappy black and white TV we had, which my grandparents had a color TV. Those things matter to kids. They still matter to big kids. So anyhow, and you know what? To make up for that, the little crappy TV, we now have a massive TV. It's as big as the wall will hold. Ha ha ha, evil laugh. I got my big TV. Anyway, so I saw this little commercial that they had on Valleydale, and I thought, you know what? They're my friends. I saw these little cartoon pigs and cows. I said, I can call them in, and they can show me where to walk to get out of this place. They can walk me through how to get out. So one day when they both left me there alone, latchkey kid, I don't know why I was alone, but I knew I had to do it quick. So I had never used a phone. I was 4, and I did. Spirit showed me. They've always loved me, and I called my grandparents. I don't know how I knew, but I did. And I think they told me. I mean, honestly, I did not know how to use the phone and phone numbers, and I did. And of course, they didn't have as many numbers back then as we have now. Okay, they didn't have area codes. But anyhow, I called. I mean, it wasn't like you had to call up, you know, Sue on the phone and get switchboard. I mean, I'm not that old, but, you know, it wasn't like 3 digits. So, you know, like, so, you know, whatever area code, you know, 982, none of that. They didn't have that yet. So I called them and I told them exactly 25 minutes away, where to go to get me. And when my mom came back, they were shocked to see my grandparents get there. Even the whole family is like, how does she know? So I was remote viewing and out of body traveling out of necessity, not out of being spiritually cool at all, out of necessity for a very, very long time. So I don't know exactly what happened, but it was a scene. It was bad. They tried to get attorneys and try to get me back, which leads me to my really big NDE. So Rock and Ray got a job in Raleigh, North Carolina. Rock and Ray Raleigh, in Raleigh, North Carolina, and it was we got a place in a Cary, which was still a nice area, and so he got a higher position with WKIX. It was very well known at the time. There were celebrities that went on to have syndicated radio. Like Wolfman Jack, you might have heard of that. There's Larry Sprinkle that came out of that. Quite a few people. I can't remember them all. And so during that time, the sexual abuse really started. And so it started in the trailer while we were there at 3.5. Can you imagine? Who would do that? And I'm not going to go there, but it was creepy. It was like creepy pervert stuff, you know. And then it became more physical, holding down, but weird talk, you know, weird talk and stuff. And so I would tell my mom. She used to be a Kelly girl, and she would go as a secretarial service. She would go have placements in different places. She was a secretary. And so beautiful. She had long blonde hair. She was just so gorgeous. Just such a really top fashion. I wore the cool round glasses, you know, with the tint. I mean, she was, you know, prescription, but she was a hipster. Leather pants, you know, cut out on the side and all that. I had, what was it? One of my nose surgeries, the second brain cartilage, or I'm trying to think what it was, but I was telling them how hot Mom used to look. I was doped up, you know. But anyway, so we're in Raleigh. I'm left alone with him. She goes, oh, he'll want you. I said, don't leave me alone with him. But see, I just didn't have the words to say. I was real innocent, you know, I just didn't really have the words. And, you know, I was so little. And I was getting ready before I was 5, and I wasn't even in first grade yet. So, I had this conversation with God, and I didn't really know what I was saying. I initially said, can you just kill him? But I didn't know that meant that was mean, because I didn't really know what death was. So then I kind of got a frown on that. And I was like, okay, well, just take me. I just can't do this. I cannot do that. I can't do it. I can't do it. I cannot do it. And I remember hiding in the closet and shutting it and trying to stick in wire hangers and hiding under the bed. And I'm saying this. It's really hard for me to say this. I'm saying this for all the people that have been victimized, okay? Male and female, okay now. And I'm saying that because don't ever lose your voice, okay? I don't care if nobody believes you. You believe you. And God knows. God sees all. There ain't no hiding from God. And whatever those people that were involved, they cannot escape a life review, okay? And they're in the presence of God, and it's so holy, they're ashamed. I feel that we judge ourselves before the presence of God. We're ashamed of our wrong acts. That's why we want to try to get it right, guys. We want to take the high road. So he heard me. God heard me. And I had a really bad strep throat one day. And I remember we were in this apartment complex on the second floor, and I would look out. We had a sliding glass thing, but it was on the second floor, a patio, and I would look out, and we were backed up to forest. It was really, you know, thick forest. It was pretty. And I remember getting sicker and sicker. And I was watching the Carol Burnett show that night, if people remember that. We're going back. And Harvey Korman and all that, and looking at the clock. and remember what the sofa felt like that was on. We had this banana looking shaped sofa, and it was like fake fur or something, not high fur, but it was like really soft. It was like a pillow. And I got sicker and sicker and sicker. And so my mom, she tried to give me tomato soup. And well, I was sick actually for a couple days. Let's just get that straight. Okay. So I was sick a couple good days, strep throat, a couple days. And so by the end of the second day, I got sicker and sicker. And I had strep throat, but what was going on is my throat was closing up, so I couldn't eat the food. So she sent out, at this point, he's this man is like petitioning, through the courts to be, my father and whatever. We're going through that paperwork. And he, mom is like, well, go get us some chocolate ice cream and some milk. I'll make milkshakes, baby. That'll be easy to go down. Of course, I'm severely allergic. I'm lactose intolerant. That wasn't good. But I couldn't even get that down. I couldn't even get water down. And so she told Ray, we got to take her to the hospital. And he's like, no, we don't have the money. Well, we could have found the money. But this went on for a while, and I'm getting sicker and sicker. So she calls, I don't know, the hospital, the doctor, whatever. I mean, it's after hours, so it must be, the hospital, the emergency room. And she checked she put me to bed first. And then when she went and checked on me, I was so totally drenched head to toe. The fever, it was 103.9. Not good, right? This is not a radio station. This was not good. And so she called the emergency room, and they said, put a tub full of ice. I still remember that tub of ice. It was awful because I was, it was very unpleasant because I had to be covered in ice. It sucked. Okay. Let me just tell you, that was shocking. You're sick, you're on death's door. You don't want to go in a tub of ice, but that's what happened. And then finally there was cussing going on. She goes, we're taking her to the doctor, get the, GD, whatever, car. I mean, it was, serious. So at that time it was the day. Oh man. Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated, and there were riots, and it was such sad times. Makes me sad because I feel like we've gone back to that, and it's just so wrong, guys. It's wrong. We should love each other. So because my dad had a radio car, WKIX, it was official that, he thought he could take it out, but they literally had martial law everywhere. They had military soldiers, they had checkpoints. I mean, it was crazy. And so he carries me down there, and then he puts mom in, puts me in the arms, and he drives. And along the way, I die. And I'm watching this whole episode from above the car. I mean, not in the car, like above it. Like I'm out here looking, like the universe. I'm looking, I'm kind of following it along, and I'm seeing all these riots going on. And it was just sad times, guys. And I think I died the same night as Martin Luther King. That sounds like it's something you'd see on the Inquirer. I died the same time Martin Luther King. But he went on and into heaven, and I of course, here I am, came back. But so I died, and there was a lot of cussing going on in that car. You let my beepity beepity beepy beepity beepy exclamation daughter die. And so we get to a roadblock, and with the MPs and the National Guard. I said, what's going on? He said, it's an emergency. We got to get my daughter to the hospital. So the guy called ahead. A hospital knew I was coming, and they like rushed out to get me out of the car, like all these physicians and all these people and nurses. I mean, it was a lot of them, like a dozen or so. It was a lot going on. They literally, whew. And I was just watching it all from above, and, just watching. I was observing. I mean, I was mildly interested. I was observing. And they pronounced me code blue, and they pronounced me that I had been dead a minimum of 15 minutes. They worked on me, God knows how long. It was at Rex Hospital in Raleigh. I don't know how long they worked on me. And they kept going to my mom, and I could see the room and about my body, the lights, all these different codes and things. And I've described it in a talk I did, what it looked like. They were pumping goop out of me. And a lady goes, I was an emergency room nurse. You had pneumonia. And I was like, yeah. But I was never told any of this as a child. I remembered later in life everything because it's not a normal memory that most people have. Not normal being your dad and all, but it's more permeating in your soul than just a normal memory. And so I would look there and I would zoom around the halls, and I could also see at the same time my mom sitting there and she's crying. And there were two doctors working on me, two doctors, but there was a room full of people and nurses, they had two full doctors working on me. I don't know if they were lung specialists, but they were two. And one was older, one was younger, and they were men, and said, kept going to my mom and kept saying, we're trying to get her vitals. And she's like, okay. I don't think she got, I'm like, Dad, I don't think, because I think they felt sorry saying that. And she's like, oh, okay, we're doing our best. She's like, okay. Like, I mean, she was upset, but I don't think she knew what that meant. And I kept flatlining in there. So actually I could have been dead more than 6 times because they kept trying to bring me back. But my lungs were completely collapsed. It was actually, drowning in your own fluid was very peaceful. I don't mean to sound morbid, but you just sort of, can't really fight it. You just sort of surrender. Of course I slipped out, but it was something you just kind of keep going down. You just can't fight back. And I'm zooming through the hospital now. I'm like, I felt like I'm so free. Like I felt like a bullet just zooming through the hospital. It's like, I'm so fast. I'm like Superman. And I was like, I was free. I was spirit. That's who we really are. And that's why people say, are you afraid to talk to spirits? No, we're a spirit, and I don't like mean or mean ones, but I don't like mean people. But most people are nice, and we're spirit. So no, I'm not afraid to talk to spirit. We're spirit. And matter of fact, that's when it really started. I was talking to everybody in the hospital that was crossing over, and people would look at me and they were confused. and I felt free. And I remember stopping at a Lance snack machine because I'm a kid, I'm looking at candy. Yeah, I'm a spirit, but I'm still looking at the candy. And there was a little girl. And I remember it was a little African-American girl, and she had on a brownie suit, and she could see me. She could see me. And I went through and I tried to help people, and I would go back and I would check on what they're doing. And then it's pretty bad then it got really sad in the room because the doctor said, I have a child her age. I have a daughter her age. And then 3 of the nurses started crying. I mean, that's pretty bad, right? I mean, when your doctor's upset and I was really cute. They probably thought, what a cute little girl, it's so sad. And somehow we can understand these things more if someone is old and decrepit. You know what I mean? When you're a child, it's very hard to understand these things. So I zoom around some more, and then I come back. And it was quiet in the room. They declared me dead. I mean, it was quiet. They'll shoot over the face, and they'd done everything. But Jesus hadn't done everything because he resurrected me. Well, a little bit later, but he did. But they did. And I saw 2 spirit people in the room. And, my grandmother and relatives, they were big into this very old Presbyterian church in Hickory. So you could say we were Presbyterians. We actually came from German Swedes that were Presbyterian. Actually, that's why they left the country for religious freedom. We should still have that today, and including a freedom of voice. We should all support that. Because there's that's just fear that people that don't, because it's not who we are. We are creatures of love. That's the only reason we're created. So getting back, they had a rosary and this nun, and then there were spirits, the spirit people, and a priest, and they were doing their thing, but they were not real. I mean, they're real. They were spirit people. And she said, I remember what she said, blessed are the innocent. And this is what I think. I thought, wait a minute. This was later on in life, I really wow, this was their task in life, to take care of, children in particular, kids in need. And that was their ministry. So they, were they in heaven? Yeah, I think they're totally in heaven, but they came back for me. Come to find out, about 3 years ago, I found out that hospital, the new one, Rex Hospital, where there were 3. There was one, I'd have to go back and look at my information because it was 3 years ago, but there was an old Catholic hospital built there. Right? Cool, huh? And I didn't know anything. I mean, I'm dead. We don't even go to this hospital. I mean, it was far away. And then there was another one built on top of that. And then eventually they, I think, moved it down the block a bit because of zoning or whatever. So I think they're running out of space, but it was Catholic. And so next thing I know, this is the good part. I'm totally now into this is the best part. This is where it gets really good. So no more tears for me right here. I looked, okay, tears of joy. I'm wrong. Tears of joy. And I looked down, and I first of all noticed that I'm in this beautiful place, and I have pictures of it here. You can see it's beautiful, and there are these amazing colors. And there was a tree there, big tree. I now know it as the tree of life. And there was a rock right in front of it. It was beautiful. It had cherry blossoms on it. It was so pretty. And laying down on his knee, kneeling to me was Jesus. And he grabbed my hand and he said, I have something for you. And I said, a toy? I mean, I'm 5 years old. Come on, of course I'm going to say that. And he said, no, and he laughed, and I noticed what beautiful teeth he had. I mean, nobody ever shows his teeth. He's really super handsome, by the way, really handsome. I've never seen anyone that looks like him. He was very glowy. He had on a robe, and it was white. He had blue on, a blue sash, and he took something off his belt, and it was very humble, looking like he had it was a rope belt. He took it off and he wrapped it around my wrist, part of it. He took it off like a friendship bracelet. You know how they make now? And he goes, I wrap you in my love, protection, and wisdom. Much is given and much you'll give. And then he began to tell me a lot of stuff. And he said through, which I'll go into that. He kept telling me, he told me quite a few things, and I'll go to that in a minute. And he said I had to go back, and I said no. And we argued for a really long time. I mean, who would argue with Jesus, right? And I argued, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to go back to that place. They're really mean people, and I don't want to do it. And he said, well, you're not going to be alone, and I'm going to send you someone that's going to help out a lot. And I'm like, no, I mean, I don't see that. He goes, I'm going to send someone to you that will love you completely and will be your protector. Now I'm 5. I'm thinking this makes no sense to me. But later when I was 19 was my husband, because I really needed to meet someone that young because I was so messed up. I needed someone that had just exude love, and I knew would never hurt me. So Jesus had it all figured out. And so he said, but you could stay here a while longer. And then we walked around, and we walked through this pasture, and I have like an example here, but we walked through this pasture, and I'm glowy. He's glowy. As he walks, and the colors are amazing. They're a bigger spectrum. And as he's walking, there is every flower, every blade of grass has a life, and it's almost like it's alive, and it has it's worshiping him. And it's good stuff, guys. I mean, that love, there's nothing like it. And they're all following him in the clouds and the sun, to the point of going, does he know that all these things are following him? And then a little butterfly landed on my finger. and the butterfly was like animated and kind of winked at me. Now I know you're thinking, okay, now it's turning into a cartoon. It's heaven. It can be anything you want it to be. I mean, I was a kid. It made me smile and it made me giggle. So why not? Things aren't like it is here. So we walked around and he said, you have to go back and you have to show your mother love. And I said, why? And he said, because you have more love in you than she does for herself. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know how to do that. And he goes, there's no right or wrong way to how to love someone. And he goes, that's a little something I know about, which, by the way, is a sense of humor. He's really funny, very funny. And he laughs a lot, not at us, but he just laughs. He's full of joy. So it's like, I don't know. He said, well, why don't you ask me some questions? So we sat on this rock and he said, and I looked at the tree. He said, now we don't eat from this tree. It's a very wise tree. And I'm thinking, I wasn't thinking about eating from it. But it had these, it was like cherry blossoms, but then it had like little red grapes. They look really delicious though, that were hanging off of it. But I really wasn't hungry at that moment. Not, I just lost my body and all. And I'm hanging out with Jesus, more interested in having a conversation with him. And he said, well, we'll sit. We walked around and then we sat on this. It was a very big rock. And he began to say, be careful with your words, that as we speak, that we manifest, that as the word speaks, that we are creating. So think about that. You don't want to say, oh, I'm a bad person, or, I'm just going to die. People say that all the time. Don't say that, because you're making that happen. Like, not good. Oh, I'm so rich, we don't have enough money. Don't say that, because guess what? You just reaffirm that. So he said that we manifest in heaven, but it's immediate, whereas on earth, it just takes longer. And so you have to just really be mindful and keep, upbeat. Just don't put any negative words out there. I mean, he was talking to me like you would a kid, but I understood. And it was telepathy. You mean mind-to-mind communication. And I said, well, I want to try that. And he goes, okay. So I thought about us being a little boat. There's a picture here of a little boat that I have. And you can see this little boat that I've got here at the bottom. And we got in, that's what we got into. All of a sudden I thought it, we were there. And he said, and 3 fish came up to him. And he pulled one out of the water and he said hello to it. And then he looked at me and smiled and said, this is how we fish here. This is cool. But I will tell you, as a medium, I did, I have, in several readings, they'll tell me what they're doing in heaven. And many times it's evidential. It could be, oh my God, they always loved playing that game, or they always wanted to pick up string violin, or oh my gosh, they love studying tectonic plates of the surface. Seriously, or if they're a cop. I've had a famous guy come through who was Popeye Doyle, who was in The French Connection, and I did a stage thing, and he came through and with a friend of mine in New York, and Mara, who's a very sweet, good friend, and yeah. And he came through riding on a motorcycle. I mean, so they do things over there, guys. I mean, as in heaven, as in earth. They're not just talking attitude. Earth looks like heaven, except we've kind of crapped it up some. Just saying, we need to love Mother Earth. Because when you in heaven, eternity is a state of beingness. Nothing rots. You don't need to take out the garbage. Everybody looks super hot. Generally, it's around 20-something to 30-something. However, if you want to experience being old, most people like to kind of run away from that. You could do it. Some people like to experience being a kid and run. You can do that. You could change your state. And we've been all things. Most people come in like them, but the time they thought they'd look best. So I get a lot of grandparents, great-grandparents come through now, like in medium readings, and they just look hot, They'll say, oh, I wore this hat and had a, white shirt and, cool pants and pleated pants, and I'm smoking a cigar. I look so cool. And they're like, yeah, he did used to look like that, and he did have a white hat. So people usually go to that version of themselves over there that they thought they looked good. So anyhow, we walked around, and I knew I was not allowed to stay, and I had to come back. And he told me many things. Like he said, through the small things, the big things would be done. And through the big things, it would be the small things that would be acknowledged. And he told me he wanted me to bring heaven on earth. And he started telling me this little game plan. And I went, that is a lot of work. That seems like a lot of work. And I don't think it's possible to bring that kind of love here. And we argued, and he said, oh, but it is possible. And we went back and forth. And then finally he said, we literally were, we have this discussion here. And he said, but you're not going to be alone. There's going to be people helping you. I went, I said, it just seems like a lot of work. And he just thought that was so funny. And I said, well, he said, I'm going to be there. And there's angels. And there's other people over here that are helping you. And I'm going to put people in your life and opportunities in the way that it's going to be possible. We've got all this figured out, and there's other people doing it too. And I'm going to have them meet you, and you're going to meet each other, and you'll recognize each other when you see them, because you'll see a spark of me in them. And I'm going, I mean, he's a good salesperson. Jesus he's a good dating service. He got my husband for me. He is a good realtor. If you need a new house, just tell him all about it, what you need. I told him what car I needed, white. I want it white, pearlized, and the price I want to pay and everything. Sure enough, yeah. He's like, got everything perfect. I even have little angel wings in the back. There's a Toyota. It looks like a little, but it looks like the halo with the angel wings. It looks like it came that way, but it didn't. I put it on, and but yeah, he did. And I said, well, all right then. And so I came back. And heaven is real. God is real. So is Christ. Not his consciousness. He is real. He's a real being. He's a real thing. And I'll tell you about it later, but I saw him downtown Charlotte 3 years ago, July 17th, 2017. He's real. He's a person. Yeah, he's more than that. Okay. But, if angels can take the form of human beings, why can't Jesus just show up? Why not? I mean, I didn't ask him, but I was pretty shocked. So my 10th, I had two more. I'll just do these quickly. This is when you start needing a drum roll after every one, you got to speed it up. So I was at a vacation with my family in Myrtle Beach, and it was the hotel pool, and some guys playing volleyball. Well, I'm 10, they're 13, so they're like, at that age, they're like grown. They're like grown boys. You get older, like age doesn't even matter. But when you're young, it was like, wow, they're grown up. They got muscles. So I'm playing in the water underneath them. I get hung up they didn't know I'm underneath them. I'm swimming around, looking around. You're like, what am I doing underneath your feet? Well, I'm intrigued by these muscles. And so I got hung up. I couldn't get up. I panicked. I started panicking. And all I can remember is this. And it's funny. I didn't know this has happened to someone else, but Nicole Gruhl said the same thing happened to her, who's an NDEr in Sydney, Australia. The ocean, the horizon started in the middle opening up, and a white light started coming through. And then I heard angelic music, but it was layered. It was the most beautiful thing you've ever heard. And it sounded much like this that I have in the background, but much more angelic than that. Next thing you know is I'm coughing up water from a lifeguard. My mom was like, what's going on here? But, and I said to myself, oh, not now. That's what I said, not now. So, and I was right in the thick of the abuse. I don't even want to talk about this, but I will. I was right in the thick of the abuse because it started ramping up again. Till I was about 12 and a half, and I was big enough, and I became very, angry and violent, like, don't you touch me, whatever. I became very, and it worked. And I was like kind of the, jerk, the disagreeable one in the family, but I had to be to survive. So I've got a bug on my screen here. So then I finally, when I was 28, my other one is very, very different than all the rest, NDEs. And hopefully I'm done. Knock on wood, but, if I'm not, it's just another form of existence. If I have another one, or don't come back. What do? You know, it's in God's hands. Thy will be done. So at 28, I had a prescription for a menstrual migraine, and it was one pill. A lot of near-death experiences, part of the after effects is your sensitive light. I could always like a vampire. Like I was a very sensitive light. My mom couldn't understand. So if you've got brown eyes, they're not really brown. They're amber. They're gold and brown. They're really cool looking in the light. Look like a wolf. But they're sensitive to light. They can't take things. They have allergies. There's a whole list of stuff. They do things with batteries and clocks, all of that. I've got every list, every symptom, everything. And so, you can't really put that on a resume, but I mean, I guess you could put it on an NDE resume. So I was sleeping, and it's really hard to explain, but it was like an alarm went off within me. That's the best I can say. It was like I went from a dead sleep, not to make a pun, to an alarm went off, and I couldn't speak. Now, I don't know how it affected my motor skills, but I couldn't speak. I couldn't move. It was like I was an animated corpse, and it made me think of, Frankenstein when you go, he's alive, and he just kind of raises off the table. I kind of stood up, and I couldn't wake my husband up. I couldn't even poke him to think, and I knew something's really wrong. And I don't know why I couldn't speak. Probably these are not good signs. So why I did this, don't know, but I knew I had to handle this. So I went into the living room, turned on the TV. It was not my big TV at that point. And turned on the TV because I thought if I can follow a train of thought, I can get through this, because it was just one pill. It was nothing. So as I sat there, I began hearing the sound of psss, and I was like, oh, that's not good. And then I started feeling a little fearful, and that wasn't good, because I knew after that is I don't care, like at all. And so I started seeing the furniture kind of decompose. I started seeing lines. They were held together by white lines. Later on, I found out that's like one of the states that you go through the Monroe Institute. It's like it's an after death thingy. I don't know, and then I did not know I was male or female. I did not know what I was. I didn't know my name. And at that point, I didn't care. I was like, and next thing you know, I'm out in the galaxy, and I show this galaxy thing. It was a different experience. I was nothing. Yeah. And it's weird because it was really over nothing. That pill is strange. And I have an illustration here showing people, spirit people, different people from different planets, different races, the masters, all that. It's all part of one big God plan. And sometimes we get hung up. Who's our guides? You need to worry about who you are. You are the biggest journey that you'll ever go through. Forget the guides. You're going to meet them soon enough. People get hung up on that. You need to be hung up on Jesus. He is the love guru. I mean, it's a supernatural love. There is nothing you've done that he doesn't think you're great. I'm telling you, he takes up for everybody. The biggest dirtbag you can think of. He's like, well, that's the best he knew at the time. I'm like, he takes up for everybody. Religion free, because I really did not grow up in a religious family. So, except for my grandmother, who I think was a very holy, spiritual woman. And when it came to God, was she perfect? No, she was not perfect. She loved to cuss and tell dirty jokes. She was a great dresser, though. She was very creative and really smart. She knew 4 different languages, and she's still around me. My granddad. So they were very important to me. I've lost some other people along the way, like my stepsister, Marcy, which you'll see on the episode Love and Marriage. And you'll see my young pictures. Oh God, don't tell me what happened. I'm trying to hold on with the thread, but she's in there, and she's now on the other side. She's also a helper of mine. So let me tell you what I learned from the astral planes. That life is constructed with an agreed upon, held together structure that we create through energy forms. So what does that mean? If we all decided, I know it sounds way out there, guys, okay, probably not going to happen anytime soon. We're not at that high level evolution. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's kind of a fallen world. Not really been so good lately. So don't think we're there. So don't think it's going to happen. But the higher vibration, if we all agreed, well, in a loving flow, let's don't do this, just do something else, everything would disappear. But it's not going to happen. So don't worry about it, because we're really broken right now. So everything is going to stay intact. So our thoughts manifest in the reality, as Jesus said. I know you've heard that. What is the law of attraction? Dependent upon one's intention and ability, those thoughts can manifest immediately or not. Spirits were human. They were people too, okay? And now they're limitless beyond time and space. So if you want a sign, you want a symbol from your family in heaven, don't tell them. Well, you could say, make it nature or something. You can do that. That's fine. But they can do anything. I mean, you know, most people can't handle them showing up at the end of your bed. And most of the time it takes a lot to do that. So they're probably not going to do that. And speaking of ghosts versus spirits, it reminds me of that commercial on TV, which is really true. Ghost, there were probably people in life that maybe they were miserable, not very happy. You've met people like that. And then they pass. You think all of a sudden they get better. So sometimes they want to hang around here for a while. Maybe they want to experience being a ghost. Some of them deal with rage and they're refusing to cross over. If you cross over, God's going to bring his angels, and it's going to be like heaven therapy over there. You're going to get the help. Suicides, no. I do not get suicides like as a medium. They go to hell. They're just people, and they make mistakes. We make mistakes, and God helps them. But I will tell you this, there's no easy way out. Wherever you are right this moment spiritually is exactly, if you pass right now, that's where you're going to be over there. And that's what you're going to need to work on. So there's no easy out. So go ahead and just jump in there and work on your spiritual lessons now. So, excuse me on that, guys. So it says here, there is no time. There's time here for sure. A lot of near-death experiencers will come back and they will have no sense of time, which I know that we've gone a little past the time on this, but they don't have a sense of time because there is no time. In eternity, we've talked about that as a state of beingness. It's not like forever and ever. It's just things don't rot. They stay in a glorified way. Spirits, including us, are our raw nature. We're all-knowing, and we can communicate quickly through thought. You can do that. I do that through astral traveling, talking to people. And because sometimes you can't communicate with people in life because they're stubborn. So you can go in their astral state and go, hey, how's it going? Have you thought about maybe doing this? I mean, you can. It's like, I think I'm an angel when I do that. So I like it. Spirits, as I talked about, they are us. We are the soul. Body optional. We need a body if you in this world. It's better if you do. You can drive a car and take a shower and stuff. There's a lot of work, but you might need one. In heaven, they create things, but they play, but there's learning there. There's a lot of learnings, and I gave examples of some of my readings. There are many, many other worlds and dimensions and astral planes. I mean, I've seen things before, chupacabras, little elf people, like Leprechaun. I've seen that. I used to, years ago, for like 2 years, ghost hunt. It was actually a good experience. I don't like working with the low vibrational stuff, but it was a good experience to know that stuff exists. Yeah. Fairies laughing, all that. Yeah. Woodland fairies, they're real. Yeah. So I'm just going to tell you at this point, I've decided everything's real. Bigfoot, real. Everything, real. Well, if you can think it, it's real. And even the real creepy stuff, that's real. I just don't put my attention on that. I'm like, no, I will not glorify that. I'll glorify God. There are many other worlds and dimensions and places besides just here. I wanted to mention that. And upon death, people go where their mindset is. If they're very dark, they go to a dark place. If they go, it depends. If they're joyful, they're going to go to that place. So a lot of it has to do with staying in the presence of a loving, positive environment and attitude, and being in a state of appreciation, because you're going to go to a better place. It doesn't help to know some people over there, like, God, Jesus, other, if you're religious people. But it really is about being a reflection. Pretend you're already in heaven. What would it be like here? Because you can create that here right now. I also want to mention the veil is getting a little thinner due to people's disobedience to God. It's letting in dark things. You've seen it? You've seen the world. It's not always, it's not been very pleasant lately. So we need prayers. We need to be mindful. We need to be more loving. We need to have more grace for one another and kindness, and quit being so judgy. And as like Jesus always tells me, whatever people speak harshly of others, they're just holding a mirror up to themselves. So I'm talking about just meanness, gossip. I'm not talking about acknowledging, hey, maybe that's not so good, or pray for them, but I need to stay away. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about we need to look at ourselves first and really focus on us. That's what we're here for. And also that God and Christ really want a relationship with all of us, religion free, because we're part of heaven. That's where we're from, and we're the children. So, and if we're co-creating right now with God, or if you want to try to do that, I start with a state of gratitude, and I get into a quiet place. People call it, if you want to call it, meditation, prayer. Sometimes I just kind of let the day run out. And then I'll start with maybe a little quiet, relaxing music and get into a state of gratitude. And when I get really, some people call it slaying in the spirit, a God whammy, boom, it opens right up here. And I just get vibrating everywhere. And this beautiful white light falls upon me. I'm talking about now. I get it all the time. I get a God flash. I don't mean a hot flash. I mean a God flash that, it's good. We can bring that here, and we can have that now. And the Holy Spirit, if we, invite it, can always be with us, because this is our state, is to be here for love. And we've forgotten, and we get trapped in this silly game here on earth. So that's a small wrap up of my near-death experience speech. I do want to bring you into the present time and tell you a little bit about me real quickly. At the after effects of this, yes, I was seeing spirit and talking at a very early age. I do believe my near-death experiences did heighten that greatly. And it came out more and more as I got older. I tried to make it go away, because I would see things, spirit people, angels, demons. And so finally, it kept coming out so strongly in life. After I'd owned an advertising agency 27 years, a trained marketer, and as far as a visual designer, trained marketer, slogan writer, copywriter. Back to, again, the book should be good, right? Anyhow, I started training professionally. Well, I didn't, I said, let me give it a go. And I showed up at the Omega Institute. It was John Holland and Janet Novahat were teaching. It was 7 days. And 6 or 7 days. It was a full week at the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York. And that at that point, I said, well, let me give it a go. And I'd always been, pretty much so reading people my whole life, because that's what I did. I can't help not to. I just know stuff. So I went there and not expecting anything really. I thought, this doesn't work out. I'll just come right back home. Asked for signs. I got all these signs along the way, crazy signs. Your number 22 is my number of the plane. It had 22. I'm looking out the window. There's a 22. I had a big owl land right in front of me, huge owl, like a dog. I had all these signs, and Al's was my grandmother. So actually she was there helping me do all the links, so the spirit links. And while I was there, I went on stage, and it just took me over. The spirit people were moving me. I really liked the lady, the spirit grandmother, and talking about easy bake ovens. And I was like, boy, I knew at that moment, spirit said, take your place. And I heard that. And I got up on the stage when we were offered an opportunity, and it was before 65 other mediums. And I knew this was my thing. And I wanted to be able to show, first of all, heaven's real, give evidence that heaven's real and that our loved ones are well, probably better than us, quite honestly. Again, you can't cheat life or death. You can't cheat it. But they're probably doing really well. That's what I always get time and time again. There's so much love and joy on the other side in heaven. So I decided I wanted people to see this gift in me, and it was greater than a lot of other people. And it's because, my abuse, I would pop out of my body all the time. I've had so many NDs, I can pop out at will. I'm a trance and channel medium. So I studied 8 years with Tony Stockwell, and also with Lisa Williams, and got certified by Lisa as an advanced psychic medium. Spirit told me at some point in time, I guess it was, 3 years later, I was doing a place at Wet Willie's, what a name, right? Stage place at this big entertainment complex in Charlotte. And I started with that through my friend Kelly, who invited me to do that. I said, you're great, you got to do this. I was like, so I started doing the stage thing. And there's a lot to handle with different spirit energy, people energy in the room, talking, people get in discussion, not losing your link. And then when I got that down, then Spirit told me to contact the Southern Women's Show, met with them, met with the directors for a couple hours and got along great. Since then, we said, well, let's just give it a go. Tried it in my local city first. And then long story short, I've been doing this in various cities, not just for the Southern Women's Show, but for other women's expos. Whole families come out and they go to my shows 3 times a day, Messages from Heaven, where I'm actually, it's really cool because my mediumship has grown where I'm doing whole groups of people and Spirit will move, it's like amazing. Like people that don't even know each other in the room, the similarities among them that Spirit points out. And the healing messages, very deep stuff, very like, because I get whole conversations. So, I mean, this is, you can't make some of this crazy stuff up. One, I'm thinking of a quick, short one, a grandfather. I said, yeah, there's a grandfather here, blah, blah, blah. And said he had a spooky farms and he would take a tractor and he had a spooky farms at Halloween. And somebody started hysterically laughing. She goes, that's my granddad. And so I said, and dressed up and he didn't, it was really funny. Mine are very detailed. And I have really enjoyed connecting with people, and a lot of near-death experienced people have come out. I love just giving them hugs. And people, I had now, like when I do Richmond, hey, Richmond people, what's up? What's up? I love my Richmond people. Sorry, I just have to do that. They'll stand in line. The first year I was like, my friend Nina, why are they standing in line? They just wanted to hug me. How sweet are the Richmond people? So hopefully when everything gets back to normal in this world, we can start picking that up again, because they put that on hold. So anyone listening, they put that on hold, but they're going to pick that back up. And they've asked me, and I love the Southern Women's Show. Love it. Jacksonville is fantastic. I've done Savannah, Georgia, different cities. Can't remember them all, but great people. I've done shows in New York and New Jersey and Wisconsin and different places too, all across the U.S., different places. And of course now my readings are globally all over the world with Zoom, but I've been doing Zoom readings like 5 years. So this is, I'm used to this. It works exactly the same. So I'm writing right now my book, Love from Heaven, my 6 near-death experiences, the gifts I received, and the wisdom I learned. And you got a little bit of wisdom. I didn't tell you everything now, what Jesus told me. You got to read the book, but there's a lot in there. I got involved, I guess it was 2015. I called INS, the International Association of Near-Death Studies, contacted them, ended up speaking with them, starting my own, over the years since then. So I started my own chapter. I've had that 4 or 5 years. The INS Charlotte chapter. Then I helped start the ISGO, the online sharing groups, as well as being a facilitator and did the marketing for that. And as well as that, I'm recently involved with as an advisory board member, helping out with Spiritual Awakenings International, because when I had Dr. Yvonne Kaysan, she is the person who wrote Touched by the Light, who also, she's a multiple near-death experiencer, 5 NDE, but she coined the term spiritually transformative experience. And her and Robert Bear, who's just so sweet, both of them, I interviewed them, and they created this for experience of by experiences. So wait a minute, that's what I've done with my channel. So we kind of connected. And I've also been a lab rat for different universities. They didn't put anything on my head. They just asked me questions. I am also an ordained Christian minister, because Jesus he never stopped talking to me that day, never, after 5. I've been married 33 years. We were together a little longer than that. And we've had many dogs over the years. We have 2 right now, Shih Tzu. Back in March of 2020, Jesus told me to start doing his Christ channel messages. And I told him no twice. And I don't mean the peace sign. I was like, I don't think so. I'll probably be attacked. Yeah, don't really feel comfortable with it. And they asked me a 3rd time. And I thought, well, I can't look at his face when I see him again and say no. I don't want to disappoint him. So I said yes. So he told me, and it was funny because apparently my husband's cousin and 2 other ladies, and I was in a Zoom it was like a little Bible study group with them. And they said, well, you said there'd be 15. I don't remember. Half the time I say things I don't remember. That's why I can't lie. I'm always tranced out half the time saying crazy, I don't know. That's how much I try. So that's what happened. I did 15 of those. Now the first 2, they were live. People asked questions, got me out of my trance thing. I was like, I told Jesus, and they want to know about them, when this message was for everybody. I said, oh, I can't do it that way. So that's when, if you look at Jesus Speaks, it's called Christ Academy of Love, the website.com, but it's also on the YouTube. Now I changed it to, instead of Christ Academy of Love, Academy of Love. And also He Speaks instead of Jesus Speaks, because I was taken off Facebook. Yeah, right. My biggest controversial thing is speaking out about the love of Jesus. Who knew, on Facebook? And apparently I'm still on. I'm back on since July. I just got on today. Weird, huh? Not yay on that, by the way, because, sorry guys, not yay on that. I'll put my Seeking Heaven channel on there, which I'm going to talk about next, which there I am. Look how cute I was. That's me right around 5, 6 years old. And cute kid, right? I was so sweet. And I mean, I think I still am sweet, but, I don't think life's jaded me too much. So anyway, then he told me again after I finished that, and after the Facebook thing was like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't understand. They even changed it where it said Southern Bell Medium motivational speaker. I never did that. They changed it. I mean, it's just crazy when we live in a world that people are so fearful. I mean, that fear does not come from God, guys. Anyway, so he told me in August, Jesus, it was summer. He said, I want you to start the Seeking Heaven channel, which the name ended up being, it's on YouTube, Seeking Heaven, the Near-Death Experience, Another Phenomenon, which because you're here. Here you are. Hello. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Now that's what I said. Subscribe. Hit the bell. Subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your friends' friends. So I started that, and I wanted to be a community, a soul community for people that were looking for truth seekers, is what I call them. And then also for near-death experiences, spiritually transformative experiences, which is me. Oh, let me jump real quick here. Things that I've been up to. Okay, no, I didn't miss it. All right. So I don't know if I told you guys, but I saw Jesus 3 years ago downtown Charlotte. It was amazing. I was going to a Hall & Oates concert. I've told a few of you, and I mentioned it here and, now and then on my show, but I did. And I did not, I was not asking anything or nothing. It was a beautiful summer day, perfect weather. We're just looking for a parking place, me and my husband, to go to Hall & Oates. We always see them, and we just see them all the time. I don't know. They're not even my favorite music. I mean, I like them a lot, but they're just such good players. But anyway, we were looking for a parking place. We're driving through, and we're looking, and my heart went kind of stopped, and I yelled out, "My Lord!" Like I had, Jesus Tourette's, and my soul knew it before I could see it. And I could see a little figure way down, like in the medium, both sides of the roads, and we're like passing condos, and we're like, right around there. And I could see a little figure, and as we got closer, I was like, it can't be, it can't be. I went through everything in my head. I'm freaking out. I'm going, it can't be. I'm thinking all the reasons. And he looked really clean cut. And as I got closer, he had really bouncy hair, longer than you would look, mine's kind of in the back too, but it was long. And it was like a brown chestnut with gold through it, blue-green eyes, great smile, no markings. I don't mean like these markings, but no markings, no tattoos, no markings, no jewelry. Because I thought, well, maybe he's just a hipster and he looks like Jesus, right? I'm trying to think of all these things. And he has a tunic on shirt, like a tunic shirt, but modern looking. And he had khaki pants and like a dark green, brown khaki pants and sandals. But they were not Jesus sandals like hippies wear. They were just one strap, like two straps, just simple. And I'm looking, as I get closer, I'm now like, don't want to miss it. So I'm locked eyes on him. I'm locked in his eyes. And my butt is in the air. I'm wearing a long dress. So it's all good. And I'm a long sundress over my husband's driving, looking over. And I'm like, and then I go through everything I can. And then when I look in his eyes, and he has this expression of purity. That's all I can say, purity. I've never seen it except for with like a baby or a puppy or, and he could, most people would laugh or like, what's your problem? Or why are you looking at me? He just looks just so, I don't know, like right through me compassionately, just like he just knew me, and just so much tenderness and purity. And I began to hysterically laugh and cry at the same time. I did. Well, the coolest thing is a year later, I did get I did get evidence on that, and I did get confirmation. There was a woman that came to my I in Charlotte group, never seen her before. She came with a friend from out of town to our meeting, and somebody said, oh, she sees Jesus. And I was like, what? So she kind of looked like a nun. I don't look like a nun, but she kind of looked nunny. She looked pure. You know, she has a reverence about her, a beauty, you know, beautiful, naturally just beautiful person. In and out. And so I began saying, well, it's very sacred to me. I said, oh, no, I understand. I said, I mainly hear him. And she said, I had a dream about a woman that was so ecstatically ecstasy, you know, like joyful and crying. And Jesus was in the middle of this grass in the middle of the road, you know, that little medium there. And was that you? I went, yes. How do you know that? He says, because he told me that. He wanted me to tell you that it was real. I was like, okay, then. I thought it was cool. So I'm writing my book, and so it says here, I wanted to have a big, not that I won't have other people say, yeah, Tamara's book's great, but I wanted a foreword, and I thought, well, I needed a big name. So Jesus just started talking. I'm serious. It's hysterical. And this is what he says. For it is not heaven nor earth, typo there, heaven nor earth that divides us, but the intolerances we have with each other. For love is always tolerant, kind, and looks for the greater outcome for all concerned. After all is said and done, life is everlasting. God is. You are, and I am. We are all connected to something greater than just ourselves. It's not just about you. Life is more than segments of a particular moments in time, but combined simultaneous actions occurring without time and limits to work for the greater good of God's will. For his will is always perfect. Love Jesus. I was like, Jesus, you have got a silver tongue. And also, my brother in spirit, I've seen several lifetimes with him, which I got really excited when I actually taught at the Edgar Cayce Center a day in mediumship. I was very excited about that. That was in 2018 because I was walking up the stairs later to look at the bookstore upstairs, the library, and I heard brother, and I looked, and there was his picture. But I do remember him in past lives, Atlanta especially. And so Edgar Cayce, he's been around. He's been gone a while. I think it's 1930s, whatever. But the Edgar Cayce Center, you guys can check that out. But here's a quote from him. You grow to heaven, you don't go to heaven. All souls were created in the beginning and finding their way back to whence they came. Life is continuous and is infinite. And that's by Edgar Cayce. Of course, I always say that we're all from heaven, just trying to find our way back. And then I have here a little quote by me that says, the most life-changing experience you can have is to see the real you through the eyes of the Creator. For then you will know that you were created to do one thing, and that is to love this world and be the light from which you came. Be brave, be authentically you, and shine on. And I should say, shine on, yeah, rock. I don't know, just this accent it. So, and then I had this little quote here, I'm perfect in all my imperfections because I am a child of God, of the Most High. I am a reflection of Christ on creation and my own creative self-expression in this world, which glorifies God. That's me. And then finally I have here, and I'm wrapping up, for the purity of his eyes showed me a love like no other. In this world or the next, the typo I got to fix, or the next, I long to run into his arms like a bride to her groom. Christ is my teacher, best friend, parent, and the reason my heart beats. Why I try so hard each day to be a better person and to bring heaven to earth. I love you, Jesus. You are my joy, and one day I will get to wear my crown with you. What a glorious day it will be. Shalom. So I do love him. And if you guys, you'll be hearing more about, I interlace more things that have happened to me and my spiritual experiences in each show whenever it comes up. And if you want to get a hold of me, I do readings globally, of course, online. And one of my big goals, you know, I do medium readings and life path reading. Life path readings, they take about 90 minutes. They're very involved. And Jesus may show up. I also had Mother Mary. No, your relatives, you know, your relatives will start with them. And then that's planned by the other side, whoever they want to come through. But I have talked to other ascended masters from different religions that have come through. And I have no control of it. I've had Sai Baba. I've had Yogananda. I've had different ones. And it was really great. A lot of times I don't know who these people are. I've had saints. I'm like, I don't know who they are. They're here for you, talking that you were praying to them and talking about this and that. And they're going like, yeah, and giving evidence, and it still can be evidential. So I always tell everybody to pitch their thing at the end. My heart right now, I love readings. I love helping people, of course. And I'm also offer spiritual evolution coaching. And that's going to open up in March. I've just been slammed, guys. So sorry for those of you I haven't gotten back with. I've been really kind of overwhelmed. So that's also opened up, and that's something that you would email me, and I would work with you what your needs are. And then we would see how long, for how many weeks or months this would happen with us to get you where you need to go, so you can remember who you are and how great you are. But my big passion now is the show, the Seeking Heaven show. And I will be opening this up for memberships and so forth soon. And I'm going to do some really cool stuff with that. And I will get a little bit deeper with that. You know, I'll be a little bit more, I won't worry about censorship so much. You know, so I'll get into those deeper questions you guys have. But for now, thank you for listening. My heart is overjoyed by meeting such incredible people that have come to my YouTube channel and my guest. My heart is overjoyed. You know, all I can say is Jesus did a really good job telling me to start this. He must really know what he's doing. Again, he really gives good advice. So thank you. Keep watching. And then also check out the thing on love and marriage, because I go into my early, it's only like, my part's only 15 or 20 minutes, but you see pictures of me and kind of my spiritual evolution and my aging evolution, as well as I have some other love leaders on there. Look, guys, have a beautiful evening. Much love to you. Let me take this off of the share, because I want to look at you. Hold on. Stop share. There you are. Thank you so much for being a part of my soul community. And I've gotten beautiful emails and responses. And, you know, this hasn't been easy. But you know what? Nothing worthwhile is, right? Nothing's worthwhile. You know, we have to put some effort into this world. But I can tell you, my heart is overjoyed putting this show together for you. I put a lot of long hours. You know, I actually channel which guest I should have. I mean, I'm told, okay? And sometimes I want to, and they'll go, no, not this time. So I don't know if there's a flow to it, or a certain person or a message they're combining. We'll both have to see that with that. And I've had an incredible time in learning so much myself, and some phenomenal things that are coming up for you that I mean, like really big names, doctors, Hay House authors. This thing is growing like crazy, and I thank you for that. And that we have a safe, loving soul community here. So please subscribe, tell your friends to subscribe, watch the episodes. And they're going to get better and better and better. And I try to promote it and let you guys know. Join my mailing list at go to Southern Bell Medium. You can just do that, southernbellmedium.com. And Bell is Bell. Southern Bell is Belle. And sign up for my newsletter. And then you'll get all my alerts to my shows and all of that. That's the best way to do it. It's just to sign up on my newsletter on my homepage, and then you'll get all my cool stuff, events. I'm going to be doing some live mediumship things online, which is exactly the same. So stay tuned, and thanks for your support. It means a lot. I love you guys. Have a great day.